who's got muted? Oh, mute.
I've got random.
You want this to stay on mute?
I've got the speaker.
Yeah, unless somebody actually starts talking, there's no reason for us to. I'll be verifying audio online. It's fine.
Probably get to breathing.
So I could always read the notes and such kind of after me. Hey, Chris, hope you're on your way. If you're not able to make it, it's fine. Just wondered if you could let us know. Tolkien Society meetings, so you probably saw the email. Yeah, we're probably talking about Leaf by Nigel and Beowulf and other goodly things. So, anyway, really, give us a shout to let us know if you're coming or not. Thanks. Bye.
You're going to email with
flyers.
that.
True. Make copies of the Word document.
You guys asked for flyers last time.
No, I'm.
Not sure.
Thank you.
Your operating system is trying to download the Windows.
Don't.
That's gonna make the bandwidth choke.
Okay, so you mean, well, I canceled it now. Do you think it's going to keep trying?
It says it's going to postpone for 10 minutes. You gotta postpone.
Okay.
I know you're sorry. Now apologize.
Here's the Shamsini Beowulf.
Very good.
They brought most of the other Tolkien stuff, like Monsters and Critics, and Leaf, and all that stuff.
Shall I prop this up here?
Sure. Yeah.
That's good. Beowulf. Well, read it backwards. Great.
It's funny, the woman at Barnes & Noble was an elderly woman. She had no idea who Tolkien was, and she didn't know how to spell Beowulf. She spelled it W-O-L-F.
I'm not sure I
She
know
was an
how.
elderly employee at Barnes & Noble.
Well, it's refreshing, I guess, to find somebody who absolutely no clue.
There's no literary background at Barnes & Noble.
Yeah, right.
Strange.
Indeed.
Do you have Tingwalk? Want me to pick out a word? Or Richard, you want to pick out a word? We're going through the body.
Right.
The body parts. Hellish. That sounded dodgy.
Okay, so
My apologies.
Yeah, it seems to be. Although I
way too high.
Oh, I see. Yes. So that's actually a really nice angle right there. You get the whole room.
if it's stable.
Yeah, it should be fine.
See, last
We
week
are
we did
broadcasting, right?
Romo, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we are broadcasting.
Oh, excellent.
Here's my other pocket.
The udder. The udder. The udder pocket.
Okay, we're at 105.
Okay.
Want
So-
ear or a hand?
And so, hail and well met. We're at
Welcome.
welcome to the Aya Tolkien Society meeting.
June 2014.
That's right, June
2014.
14, 2014. That's the best thing with my mind.
Live broadcast.
That's right, live broadcast
1414.
from the Rocket Bakery on Hastings in North Spokane. And Richard and I and Hawk are here to hopefully take you on an hour and a half to 2 hour journey through some of Tolkien's works. And today what we have coming up for you online, we're going to be looking especially at the new edition of Beowulf that has been put out just in the last month. Finally released. It was an unfinished, or I should say unpublished manuscript that Tolkien translated, so we'll have that. We'll have some updates from May's copy newsletter from the Tolkien Society. I'm on Hen. This is 247. So might pull a few things from there. Also, we'll learn our new Elvish word for the month to think about. Right now we're studying anatomy and just different words for different parts of the body, the face, the head, all that. And we'll see where else it goes. We might even get into Leaf by Niggle, one of Tolkien's kind of allegorical stories, even though he said he didn't like allegory. He used it when he felt like it. And so, yeah, please do comment on all the different chat rooms and things we've got open right now. And please let us know your comments. We'll have our specialist, Hawk, looking up any comments that people are making and reading your comments out for us. So thanks for being with us. Well, why don't we go ahead and get started here with
Word of the month.
the word of the month. Actually, it'd be a great idea. Actually, let's do the notes first, and then we'll kick it off with the word for the month. Technically, we have to review
How
last
dare you
month.
use the correct order?
I know. Robert's rules and all that.
I thought we had to do this in random order.
There you go. It's all the Normans' faults. You know, the Anglo-Saxons probably would have done this very differently. But there you go. All right. The Picts would have just made pictures of it, since we can't crack their alphabet. Or
Well, the Picts are the ones that are fighting like the Greeks.
All right. Well, that's crazy. All right. So here's the meeting notes from May of 2014. We had attending Chris, Richard, Brian, and Hawk, plus a number of online participants. I think we had Jeremiah Burns on and Johan, aka Artemir from Finland. So we had some people from Europe attending and chipping into our meeting. So the first thing that happened is that Chris read the April notes, and then after that, Hawk read from Vineyard Tingwar. You want to hold up the book? The last month's word was Roma, which means shoulder.
Make sure you point that microphone towards you.
Oh. Sorry about that. Sure. Yeah, my apologies. Hopefully this makes the sound better than last month. So, last word of the month. Last word of the month was Roma, which means shoulder in Quenya, Elvish. My daughter keeps correcting me and saying it's Kenya, but I'm pretty sure it's Quenya. What's the verdict on that? Quenya. So anyway, already we're embroiled in controversy. How do you pronounce the Elvish language of the High Elves? Anyway.
But wouldn't Gollum be the authority on that? I mean, who's the longest lived character aside from the Maya?
Yeah, but his pronunciation is awful. when you live by yourself for so long, you know. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Galadriel would be the authority on how Quenya should be pronounced.
English has changed about once every 100 years.
Yeah, it does change. Languages change, and Tolkien definitely accounted for that. But back to Tengwar. So we've already covered the word dol, which means head, and we have Roma, and we'll get the new word soon from Richard. Yeah, I'm going to give it to him. Absolutely. So I'm just going to carry on with the with the notes, and then we'll hand it off. Last words month I already mentioned was dol. Hawk read from Tolkien's letter 84, and what we did, it talked about synchronizing his subplots. Tolkien was commenting on how hard that was to keep the time matching. Also, we talked about a leaf by Niggle reference, and we'll possibly read that this month. Then Chris read letter 85. More chronology issues have been solved. He gave the Entmoot an extra day, which of course was very appropriate. We talked about how Tolkien was not an analyst. There was a Trotter reference, and of course this is when he still was calling Strider Trotter. I don't know if he'd still kind of seen him as a ranger at this point or not, but this was kind of obviously while he was in the middle of writing and changing and editing his work, which of course he was constantly editing. So Then Richard read letter 86, which was about an armada of airplanes going overhead. We're not really sure, but we think that's Allied planes flying in a massive formation towards Europe. Of course, he's writing in between the time of D-Day and the end of the war, which has not yet happened. Um, Tolkien explores the concept of blasphemy, which Christopher had brought up, being really shocked at some people's attitudes. And Tolkien explores blasphemy against God and asking what is sacred, discussed denigration of people and how serious that was as well. And then I read letter 87, which was a fun little letter about fan mail from an American boy that Tolkien received, where the boy says, gee whiz. And Tolkien said, it's nice to know that there's still boys, 12-year-old boys in America that say, gee whiz. Interesting comment by Tolkien about good stories being drops of water to the thirsty, describing those who really love the stories. And will the ring, he wonders, be successful in quenching that thirst? And I love in some ways, the self-doubt that Tolkien has here, because of course he doesn't have the benefit of hindsight like we do. He was writing what was dear to his heart. It was these stories grew out of his own love for language and ideas and people. He had no way of knowing, no idea, did he, of how big it would be. So he got this fan mail, and he asks his son Christopher whether you think the ring will actually, will it manage to be a good story? Will it quench the thirst of people who are looking for good stories in a dry and thirsty land? Hawk summarized various comments made by online friends, and the audio quality needs to be better in June, so we hope that's already a bit better for you. Smaug, where does his name come from? And we talked about how his name comes from smoogen, which is Old English, to squeeze through a small hole. I think that, I'm not sure whose comment that was, but that was an online listener. But where do we get the ideas? Here's a question that was raised. Where do we get the idea of dragons having hordes or being greedy? So if you have any updates on that, feel free to chip in. I don't know that
that was from the Danish source material.
Oh, it was. Okay.
The Five Rings.
It was. Okay. So then Hawk read letter 88, which was very, very brief. And the question is, what's left out of his letters, we wonder. This is clearly a fragment of an existing letter, but Christopher only allowed part of it to be published. So kind of interesting to know what's not being included. But then, of course, that's, I suppose, not really up to us. And then towards the end here, just updates, news, etc. The facsimile edition of The Hobbit is due out soon. I'm not sure when that's coming up. Hawk, any word on that?
What's that?
The facsimile edition of The Hobbit, we don't know yet when that's coming out.
I don't know.
Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that for later this summer. And then Tolkien's translation of Beowulf finally comes out Thursday, which was right after our last meeting. So this is really current stuff. Hawk read from Seamus. You want to pull up the other one? Hold it up there quick. Yeah, so you can see the whole cover. Hawk read from Seamus Heaney's Beowulf. I think it was a preface giving credit to Tolkien for restoring modern interest in Beowulf. So can you imagine actually people not even know who's Beowulf, except for random old ladies at Barnes & Noble. But aside from that, it's quite hard. No, it's just the fact that there are people out there who don't know what Beowulf is, but it's a sobering thought to think that there'd actually be even fewer people who would know what Beowulf was. So anyway, we're glad for that. And so we'll get a chance to talk about that in depth hopefully today, even though we've not had any of us any chance to look inside. So it'll be brand new, fresh. And hopefully some of you who have looked at it can chip in your comments. And then we were talking about how we would meet again Saturday, June 14th. Here we are at the Rocket Bakery North. And if we have time, we'll try to read letters 89 to 90 to better understand Tolkien's Catholic beliefs and how those influenced him as a person and as a writer. So, and then that's it. So those are the notes for May. Richard, hand it off to you for our Elvish word of the month.
Incompetence. So I guess we'll stick to things on the head. So pen looks easiest to pronounce if I'm doing it right, which is eyes.
so that would go along with the idea of Ammon Hen, which is I've lost my copy. Oh, here it is. It's right in front of us. Ammon Hen. So the name actually for the Tolkien Society newsletter is named that. And what does that refer to again in The Lord of the Rings? Isn't that where Frodo goes up and?
That's where the Palantir used to be. It was a deserted watchtower at the point of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit.
You're talking about Weathertop?
Yeah.
I
Maybe
think
I'm
it's
getting
Ammon.
that mixed up.
Well, they sound similar. Ammon is, I think, hill. So hen is, what is the word again? Hen means?
Eyes. So it's the eye of the hill.
Okay, or the hill of seeing.
Or I guess a watch hill?
So
Could be a translation.
Frodo in the Fellowship of the Ring. So I think that's just the seat where Frodo actually sits on it when he's running away from Boromir in the Fellowship of the Ring. I think that's Ammon Hen. That makes sense.
Don't recall. Sorry.
You're cool. That's all I had to say. Do you have any comments on any other times we do that?
Sorry for a little more structure with it. People complain you can't hear.
Okay.
No problem. Just got to remember to change it.
Ask online people if you have any Elvish places they know of.
So Brian kind of wants to know if anybody can think of another location that's referenced in the works of Tolkien that has hen in the word or eyes.
Right.
Is Adamir online with us or?
Nobody else. A couple people in OneRing.net, like Lady Galadriel, said she couldn't hear. I don't know who else.
Can she hear now?
I'm waiting for. Looks like there's somebody in the room.
Okay.
So watch. Nobody said anything.
Yeah, Ardemir is on group chat.
There, yeah.
And yep, so it's Johan Olin.
Repeat the question, I guess.
Okay, so Ardemir, can you hear us? Oh, he's left the group chat.
Well, he can't hear us when he's not in the chat.
Tolkien's on apparently. Is that we've got 3 on right now, Hawk. That's you.
That's us.
Yeah.
Me, myself, and I. Great. Well, hopefully we'll get some people on. Meanwhile, maybe is there anything that I'll look through the. Oh yeah, you need Beowulf one. What's going on?
To
Tolkien's
celebrate,
on, apparently.
this is in the Ammon Hen
Is that-
247 Beowulf launch party to celebrate the long-awaited release of Tolkien's translation of Beowulf on Thursday, 22nd of May. The Tolkien Society is co-organizing an online Beowulf launch party. Join us from 4 p.m. BST on Saturday, 24th of May for a whole host of talks and activities. There will be interviews with top Tolkien scholars, including experts in the field of Beowulf, and Old English studies, renowned artists, swordsmiths, and more. There will be quizzes and prizes kindly donated by the publisher to those in attendance throughout the day. There's sure to be something for everyone, maybe 1 or 2 surprises too. The exact guest list and schedule is yet to be confirmed, but keep an eye on the Tolkien Society website for further details.
Oh, Artemir's back on.
That's saying nothing.
Hi, Ardemir. Ardemir, now that I see you're back on chat, do you know of any place names or locations in Tolkien's works that uses the word hen, the Elvish word for eye? We were mentioning Ammon Hen, the Hill of Seeing in the Fellowship of the Ring, but do you know of any other ones that you can, that off the top of your head?
You still have that Atlas of Middle-earth?
I don't have it. I looked for it at home, and I don't have my Atlas of Middle-earth with me. Do you have your copy of Atlas of Middle-earth? here?
Which one?
The Atlas von Stad?
No, I did not bring that.
It's nice when we come prepared to these things.
Well, actually, do we have a map of Middle Earth in?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings.
You want to pull out maybe? Is there a fold-out one?
Yeah, in here.
Okay,
It's in the book.
it's in the book. Yeah, just be careful with it. Just a moment while we look at one of our atlases here.
Well, this is of Gondor and Rohan. It's not all of Middle Earth.
Dead air is not good. Don't want too much of this. Watching us read on that compelling broadcast.
Here's a Mon Din.
Well, we could read a little section of Beowulf. I brushed up a little bit on my old English, so I might be able to do okay.
Can you do a better job than me?
I don't know. Feel free to try. Actually, this is it's in English. So actually, I think we could both be fine.
Is it a translation of a translation?
So shall I just read some of Beowulf? Okay. So we're reading from. So we'll do a little bit of a selection of reading from Tolkien's translation of Beowulf. It's just come out this last month. Lo, the glory of the kings of the people of the Spear Danes in days of old we have heard tell, how those princes did deeds of valor. Oft shield chefing robbed the hosts of foemen, many peoples, of the seats where they drank their mead, laid fear upon men. He who first was found forlorn, comfort for that he lived to know, mighty grew under heaven, throve in honor, until all that dwelt nigh about, over the sea where the whale rides, must hearken to him and yield him tribute. A good king was he. To him was an heir afterwards born, a young child in his courts, whom God sent for the comfort of the people, perceiving the dire need which they long while endured aforetime being without a prince. To him, therefore, the Lord of life, who rules in glory, granted honor among men. Beowulf was renowned, far and wide his glory sprang, the heir of shield in Shedaland. Thus doth the young man bring it to pass with good deeds and gallant gifts, while he dwells in his father's bosom. Then after in his age there cleave to him loyal knights of his table, and the people stand by him when war comes. By worthy deeds in every folk is a man ennobled. Then at his allotted hour Shield the valiant passed into the keeping of the Lord, and to the flowing sea his dear comrades bore him, even as he himself had bidden them, while yet their prince he ruled the shieldings with his words. Beloved lord of the land, long was he master. There at the haven stood with ringed prow, ice hung, eager to be gone, the prince's bark. They laid then their beloved king, giver of rings, in the bosom of the ship, in glory by the mast. There were many precious things and treasures brought from regions far away, nor have I heard tell that men ever in more seemly wise arrayed a boat with weapons of war and harness of battle. On his lap lay treasures heaped that now must go with him far into the dominion of the sea. With lesser gifts no whit did they adorn him, with treasures of that people, than did those that in the beginning sent him forth alone over the waves, a little child.
Moreover, high above his head they set a golden standard, and gave him to ocean. Let the sea bear him. Sad was their heart, and mourning in their soul. None can report with truth, nor lords in their halls, nor mighty men beneath the sky, who received that load. Then in the strongholds long was Bao of the shieldings.
Is your microphone on your laptop? I'm getting two of them. 'Cause I muted the.
Well, you're not even logged into the.
You're not. Why am I getting two? You've got. You're accompanying yourself. I already muted.
This is muted.
Yeah. And you're not logged in.
No, let me just mute my.
Huhan has a muted microphone icon on his. I wonder if
That's
he
fine,
got the
because
sound
he's
off.
not talking. That just means he's not. He has his microphone muted.
Okay.
See if that's better. I've just muted mine. Okay, almost done here. There's a break coming up. Then in the strongholds long was Bao of the shieldings, beloved king of men, renowned among peoples. Elsewhere had the prince his father departed from his home, until thereafter he begat Healfdene the High, who held the lordship while he lived, aged and fierce in war, over the fair shieldings. To him were children four, born in the world, in order named, captains of the hosts, Heorogar, and Hrothgar, and Halga the Good, and a daughter, I have heard, that was Onela's queen, dear consort of the warrior Shilfing. Thereafter was fortune in war vouchsafed to Hrothgar, and glory in battle, that the vassals of his own kindred hearkened willingly unto him, and the numbers of his young warriors grew to a mighty company of men. Then it came young and old, such as God had granted him, save the people's land and the lives of men. Then have I heard that far and wide to many a kindred on this middle earth was that work proclaimed, the adorning of that dwelling of men. In a while, swiftly among men, it came to pass for him that it was all made ready, the greatest of houses and of halls. For it he devised the name of Heorot, even he whose word far and wide was law. His vow he belied not, the rings he dealt, and treasure at the feast. The hall towered high, with horned gables wide, awaiting the warring billows of destroying fire. The time was not far off, that between father and daughter's spouse, murderous hate, in memory of a deadly feud, should awake again. Anyone out there have any comments on Beowulf and maybe when they first heard about it, or what they know of it, or any comparisons maybe of what they know of the story, or maybe if they've seen a movie, how it may have varied from the story, or if they liked it. Any comments?
So, I first heard about Beowulf because of Tolkien back in the 6th or 7th grade. But then it was also taught, around 7th grade period, the science book, and again, I went to high school. For the spread. But it was also required for like honor subjects and stuff. Stuff that already been through it. But so most of my peers, my cohorts, you were exposed to Beowulf either in junior high, high school, or at the very latest in college. Now, when I was back at the university with degrees, I talked to fellow students there who were half my age. They had no idea what Beowulf is. You don't see it on the required unless it's usually like the optional. And so I wonder how many people in the generation actually even know Beowulf other than the recent movie that came out.
So do you think it's getting more obscure? Is it growing obscure again?
I don't know. I have too much cohort that my peers, we all know about it. Right. And it was pretty standard fare in school. But do they teach it anymore? In the 70s and 80s, it was everywhere. Is it still that?
Well, it's not from the parent culture of America, which would be English. It's more of a Germanic origin, isn't it? So,
Well, I think it's really one of the few complete stories that we have as far as manuscripts from the Anglo-Saxon time. I mean, yes, it is set in the Danish area, but I think it's a British manuscript. I'm pretty sure it. So of course it's about the Germanic, you know, exactly, yeah. But it kind of tells both about that culture and time, as well as the fact that in England that this was um, really they identified with it. These are the stories that they told each other or recited or whatever. I don't know what that maybe it'd be the kind of
Some poets, unknown poets,
oh you're might. Um, yeah, I don't.
unfortunately, that surface, I was trying to plug that to headphone jack, it doesn't have, it only has a USB port.
Right.
that kind of came to my attention as being characterized as one of the older manuscripts of literature, which really doesn't make it exciting to the younger generation.
Because you can go back to Homer, you can go back to not 5,000 BC,
Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh and all that. Yeah, I was say it's not by any means the earliest. It's the earliest English-based piece. But again, Tolkien hammering on it shouldn't just be looked at for archaeological and anthropological reasons to figure out that time period. It should be appreciated for the work of art that it was as a poem and as a story, rather than just tearing it apart.
Well, and so and Hawk, you're referring to his essay in or Monsters and Critics. Do we have that here?
Yes.
I wonder if it might be best to just read that and continue kind of the discussion of Beowulf, you know, into the next meeting we have.
Yeah, I think definitely we should put off more Beowulf discussion for next month.
Yeah.
It's nice to give people a teaser.
Yeah, right.
But
Hey, Chris Cooperstein joins in. Either side's good. You want to sit here?
See how you are.
I do. I take up everything. So welcome, Chris. You want to say hi?
how about you use, so let Richard use that one. You'll be going through my thing, but that's a working microphone.
That should work.
So the two of you, I'll just maybe put between the two of you. I think it'll work.
Yeah, I'll just share this one. You can even clip it since I'm not going to reach.
I just gotta get more, now you get a USB clip on for that surface.
Yes, indeed.
So
Smaller, less electronics.
Now I can talk like an Italian.
So what we've just been talking about is the brand new copy of Beowulf. Ooh. Brand new copy of Beowulf and how it's just come out in the last 4 weeks. And yeah, right after is the Thursday after our last meeting, so kind of towards the end of May. And this, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time that Tolkien's translation of Beowulf has been made public by his son Christopher. Yeah. Yeah. I would have put this much earlier on my to-do list if I were Christopher Tolkien. Does anybody have any theories why Christopher kind of put this at this time? Why now?
There's too many copies out there.
So he thought the other copies were good?
He put his translation out in 2000, and that was a big deal.
And I have one at home that was by Raphael Burton, I think.
Yeah, I had some version from the 70s.
Yeah, that's the one I have.
I kind of get the understanding that when the piles of notes that Christopher inherited from his father weren't organized in any way, shape, or form. So it may have been a case he just got around to digging them out.
Oh, I found the box.
Now, finding the box isn't the problem. It's finding particular papers in the box is.
And maybe it was separated through all of these different boxes.
Yeah.
And he finally got enough of the work together, and he says, "Yes, I think I've got it all." And then 5 years later, edition 2 comes out with a whole new box that he finds.
Yes. Oh, in the corner of the attic.
Questing for boxes.
Honestly, I think we read somewhere that he had. I mean, it was like,
Yeah,
was it hundreds of
stuff
boxes?
everywhere. Oh yeah.
What kind of warehouse do you have to store this stuff in?
Well, like his office, like I've never seen a black and white photo of his desk just crammed with papers.
Christopher, question for Christopher. If you're ever watching, how many boxes were there? And have you gone through them all yet? Or is someone from the next generation gonna have to continue this work?
Absolutely. Well, we're just very grateful that this has been put out. Of course, this is only 2 years. I think 2 years. Yes. No, only a year after the Fall of Arthur, which is. Let's pull that out and show it.
Yeah.
So this is actually a very.
It's been quite a run of stuff.
Now, when did this come out? When did?
He must be done with his classes. Christopher must be done with his classes.
So this is 2009. The Tale of the Children of Hurin was after this, wasn't it? Hawk, I think. This came first.
I thought Children of Hurin came first.
The Children of Hurin, then Sigurd and Gudrun, and then the Fall of Arthur last year, and now Beowulf.
Yeah, and then long ago.
Yes.
Oh yes,
Yes.
Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Is it Tree Leaf that we were talking about? Leaf by Nigel.
Leaf by nickel.
Leaf by Nickel, which is
Right.
in the Tolkien reader,
Mm-hmm.
old version.
Yes.
Right before one of my favorite booklets, Farmer Giles.
Yes. Yes, I've got my retro copy as well. They must have cranked these things out. Is this the official one or not? Valentine.
That would be U.S. licensed one. At least it's not Ace Books.
Farmer Giles, 1940.
If I recall correctly, the version of Leaf by Nigel that I read was in an anthology by other authors. So I'm not really sure if at the time I understood it was by Tolkien.
Ooh, you have a first edition, and I unfortunately have a 15th printing.
Woo! And then here's a question. In this new book, I noticed, and I'm afraid I've not done my homework on this, but it says together with Selleck Spell, and in the very back of the book it mentions Selleck Spell. It's a story, which is kind of overlaps with Beowulf. Apparently comes in those same times, but it's a different story. It's like he was writing another story in that same time setting. I don't know. Has anybody ever heard of that?
I have not.
Selleck Spell. It says in the back of this, it includes this short little manuscript of another story.
I remember them mentioning that, but no, I've never seen it
Okay.
before. That's another tidbit.
I've not been
Next
following
month
this.
we'll
I've been so busy the last month, but we should definitely follow up on
Next month we could
dive into that.
treatise.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. And that gives all of us a chance to go out and buy it, of course. How much did it retail for, Hawk, the
Well,
hardback?
I didn't even get my discount because I was in a hurry, so it was $30 hard.
$30 hardcover.
You can get it as Kindle for about $11,
Yeah.
or you can get soft cover for like
Okay. There you have
probably
it.
anywhere between $10 to $20.
Very good.
Actually, there's a short paragraph written by Tolkien that explains kind of what it is.
Yeah.
I could read it, I suppose.
Yeah, and then we'll give a taster, and then next month we can talk about it. Go ahead, Richard.
I have
Got you.
That says your audio mic is still low.
Is it?
Well, it could be the music in the background. Just cranked up.
That's the darn automatic voice control stuff. I hate so much. It doesn't let me control. They keep. It's all the way. Go ahead and talk.
So the note that Tolkien read, that Christopher read, was this is a version. This version is a story, not the story. It is only to a limited extent.
Point it at yourself. It's not working on your lapel. You're supposed to put it up here.
Oh.
You have it too far away. You got to hold it close to your mouth.
So this is this version is a story, not the story. It is only a limited extent an attempt to reconstruct the Anglo-Saxon tale that lies behind the folk tale element in Beowulf. In many points, it is not possible to do that with certainty. In some points, e.g., the omission of Journey of Grendel's Dam, my tale is not quite the same. Its principal object is to exhibit the difference of style, tone, and atmosphere, if the particular heroic or historical is cut out.
Yeah, let's just give them a taste.
Sorry. Got carried away.
Sorry.
So next month we'll do a more thorough treatise.
So, what do you think of the dragon on cover?
Show 'em.
That's just the Tolkien Society logo.
Where did they, that's from what? Where did they take it from? It's Tolkien's illustration, though, isn't it?
Yeah, which I didn't bring his artwork. I used to bring 2 cases of books.
Would this qualify as a worm or not, technically?
That one would.
Because it's got very small wings.
It's coiled.
It's coiled, yeah?
Yes.
Well, I saw a calendar that had an illustration of Smaug drawn by Tolkien himself, and it was a cross between a Western and Eastern dragon, whereas it had the wings, but it was also very long and sinuous.
Yeah, I think he favored sinuous dragons.
But it wasn't an Eastern dragon where it had no wings entirely and through.
Right.
The Eastern dragons don't have any rings and they fly by magic alone.
But the Smoogan connection would mean that for sure he would have to be sinuous, so we could sneak and slide into the Rebor.
Yeah.
You know, that's the whole idea of kind of going through a hole.
These are some of the dragons in Farmer Giles, which of course are
Pauline
probably
Baines.
not his.
Yeah, that's Pauline Baines illustrations. Who, coincidentally, Pauline Baines is the same illustrator that did the Narnia Chronicles. I think Tolkien had her do his work first, and Lewis liked it so much that he wanted her to do his chronicles. I think that's how it went.
Still,
Professor Frax.
sinuous or partially sinuous?
Very
or-
medieval style.
Yes.
Or should we just say long?
Yes.
Anyway,
Would that make for a long-winded dragon?
absolutely.
You should still try to hold that mic up. You know how to say it.
Okay. So, anyway, so we're gonna wait till next month to really delve into Beowulf a little bit more. Are you not hearing me? Hello, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Tasty.
Microphone, watermelon.
Tasty.
Will you stop sipping my ear? So, we're not getting anything.
No, I can hear you. It's just not very loud. Just keep talking.
Okay. I could borrow Richard's.
No, it's not any better.
No? Can you hear me on here? Yeah. Okay, well, so we'll wait till next month to dig into Beowulf more and Selig Spell. So then we need to decide whether we're going to try to tackle Leaf by Niggle, which there was a reference to it in Tolkien's last letter, or one of the last letters. Or go on to Tolkien's next letter, which is quite lengthy. What do you be in favor of?
One or the other, not both.
No, that's what I was thinking. Maybe we should do Leaf by Niggle, but any feelings on that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Anybody online want to vote?
It'll take us 10 more years to get through Tolkien's letters anyway.
Online want to vote?
What's the bloke who was on here a while back? Not Jeremiah Burns, but the other guy. Who is the guy who has Tolkien library? What's his name again?
Oh, that was on here last time? It's right on Peter
Oh, Peter.
Olin.
No. That's Artemir. Peter
I thought Johann was Peter.
Collier.
Or Artemis.
Collier, that's it.
All right. Well, would one of you like to, Chris? Maybe would you like to read some from Leaf by Niggle then?
At the start,
And how long is Leaf by Niggle?
11 pages.
Let's read the whole thing. Yeah. You want to start off a page or two? Pass it around. We're reading Leaf by Niggle from the Tolkien Reader.
It's more than 11 pages.
Well, I think we can handle it. What time is it now?
It's 20 pages.
20 pages. That's a lot more than 11. Well, I mean, do you think it's worthwhile, or should we? There's either that, or we read the Monsters and Critics essay. I don't know. I'm up for it, but I don't know. Do you think 20 pages is too long to read in Armenia? Okay.
Yeah, I confess I did not read Leaf by Niggle.
It's a short story.
Do we have a letter that's correlated to this?
Last time we did, yeah. It was just a reference to it. It wasn't an in-depth thing to it.
So,
That's why it came up.
just some key portions from it that really stand out.
Well, Chris, I think, is the most familiar with it.
No.
You're
I have
not?
read it.
I thought you did.
I did not.
He just got finished seeing the.
I've actually never read the whole Leaf by Niggle. All 20 pages of it.
I've read it a couple times.
Is that because you have too many other things to niggle about?
That's right. So the question is whether this is autobiographical of Tolkien. And the answer is
Maybe.
all right. Why don't you read like a little bit at the beginning here? Clip that on.
I'm tempted to use inflationary language, but I'm going to refrain. There was once a little man called Niggle who had a long journey to make. He did not want to go. Indeed, the whole idea was distasteful to him, but he could not get out of it. He knew he would have to start sometime, but he did not hurry with his preparations. Niggle was a painter, not a very successful one, partly because he had many other things to do. But most of these things he thought were a nuisance, but he did them fairly well when he could not get out of them, which, in his opinion, were far too often. The laws in his country were rather strict. There were other hindrances too. For one thing, he was sometimes just idle and did nothing at all. For another, he was kind-hearted in a way. You know, the sort of kind heart, it made him uncomfortable more often than it made him do anything. And even when he did anything, it did not prevent him from grumbling, losing his temper, and swearing, mostly to himself. All the same, it did land him in a good many odd jobs from his neighbor, Mr. Parrish, a man with a lame leg. Occasionally he even helped other people from further off, but if they came and asked him to. Also, now and again, he remembered his journey and began to pack a few things in an ineffectual way. At such times, he did not paint very much. So, yes, Mr. Niggle reflects Tolkien very well.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose
Substitute writing for
writing,
Make sure
writing for painting.
whoever's not holding the mic, not barely be heard.
Yes. Comments?
Sorry.
So I will endeavor to buy more microphones. I tried to buy another one just like that today, the Radio Shack, and the box was empty. They've been pilfered.
Oh
There were two in inventory. One was completely missing, the other one was empty.
bummer.
I will endeavor to buy a couple more. I need to get a USB one for the Surface. So that doesn't have a microphone jack. So we'll keep working at improving it. At least the background noise is eliminated. That's working really well to get rid of all that background noise. But we're all going to need to be wearing individual microphones.
But if we're not speaking directly into the mic, we become background noise and get eliminated.
We should be heard, but you're faint. Like they can hear me, but I'm very faint and distant. So.
Just like children. Children should not be.
So, yeah, when you guys hold that microphone up, they sound great. So just keep that in mind. We just have a little more order to it until I get more mics. They're about $30 each. So.
I'm just sending a message to Peter Collier, see if he wants to drop by. So who else do we have in here? We have Artemir. Did you already mention his comments there?
He's mostly just been commenting.
Has he been having trouble with his browser? Yeah. Okay. Artemir, can you hear me? Oh, he's left the group chat.
He's resetting the browser.
All right. Oh, Jeremiah has just asked me if we could invite him into the Hangout.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So, from Tolkien scholars. Okay. All right. Somebody else take this.
I'm going to test to see if there's any there.
Tasting. 10. 10. Yeah. Okay.
Well, doesn't sound anything then.
Sound off then.
That's $100 mic versus a $30 mic. They sound the same.
Wow.
Although I think the $100 one's doing better noise management. What are you doing?
He's adding them to circles?
Or should I just? Isn't he already part of circles?
Well, no, apparently he's not.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah, go ahead.
So Jeremy, he wants us to invite him on so he can
Yeah,
join in.
definitely. Well, you can do that from within.
How do to join while we're already on?
Yeah, you can send him an individual invite.
Okay, so
From
not from there.
from the actual broadcast. You can invite them.
Wouldn't it be up here?
Let me do it for mine, even though I'm on PG research.
Yeah, Jeremiah, we'll get you on there in just a jiffy.
2 shakes.
Keep changing everything. There we go. It's right here. It's still how it started it.
How else would they keep you guessing?
I'm gonna type that in.
His name? Yeah.
There he is.
Nothing. That's not the same guy. It's the right guy. It should be actually. Maybe there is some.
3 of them.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's him.
picture with it.
Okay, that's it. Invite.
Outfight.
Okay, boss next. I don't know what you want to do.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Dead silence. So my question is, I'm making a role-playing game campaign, and I've not done this, never done this before. So I've been using my gracious friend Hawk has allowed me to borrow his manuals for the One Ring, which I've played as a player, but it's very different when you're trying to run something. So I'm trying to do this for my kids actually first, but I'm getting a little bogged down right now. I plotted out. Could you hold that up to the screen? I plotted out the Lonely Mountain by hexes and did this like 2 years ago with the using some maps that like Fonstad's map, and I think actually that was based off of no, actually I used Tolkien's map for this and just kind of extrapolated the map from The Hobbit. It's a little incorrect because technically there should be some land in between the mountains arm here and yeah, and then here between the river and it. So technically here, but anyway, yeah, you can see various features there. But so here's a question. So I've got this part where Bard is sending a group. Basically, you're part of a group, a select group of soldiers, scouts from Lake Town that are under Bard's exclusive, leadership. And he's said to you, I want you to scout around the mountain to see what's out there, because at this point we've just met with resistance from Thorin. So this is kind of between initial contact and realizing that the dwarves are actually still alive. And it's before Bilbo comes down and brings the Arkenstone. And it's also before the armies arrived. So I kind of want to give this opportunity for the players to either go west around the mountain or east around the mountain and to scout out and see what there is. But I'm kind of stuck when it comes to like describing, like how do I describe? There's not a lot of like material. The Misty Mountain seems like there's a little bit more, but with the Lonely Mountain, how do you describe even like the vegetation? I mean, I suppose a lot of it's been burned. Or do you have any comments that could help me as I try to come up with, as I understand it, 2 different scenarios that I have to come up with, which is one, they go west around the mountain or east around the mountain. Obviously west would mean by the hidden door.
One thing you can do is this works for you with the old Ironstone Enterprise.
It has?
They have the men of Lake Town module. It's a complete campaign of the whole area.
Okay.
And it totally details all flora and fauna,
That's what I need.
commerce, different time periods, who's in charge, all Ironstone Enterprises. Now, of course, it's out of print, but I'm happy to loan you my copy.
Ooh.
And of course, there are PDFs going around.
Yes. When one wants to engage in the black market.
Or you can go on eBay and spend $100.
Ah,
But I'm happy to loan you mine.
thank you. No, neither can I really.
And it's second edition, so it's a little more comprehensive than first edition. First edition was much more D&D made up. Second edition, as they progressed in editions, as Chris Seaman took over and such, they became more and more scholarly in their research.
Well, and actually,
And you can just use all that information and just adapt the system.
did Chris Seaman write the Men of Lake Town module?
Well, he was editor for all the second and most second edition and starting on third edition.
And you've actually, just for the record here, Hawk, you've interviewed or had him come and speak.
Chris has come multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first Marcon guest speaker.
Right.
He was also the third.
Oh my goodness.
I've been a central repository of all things Tolkien.
Now that didn't get hit by the flood in your basement, did it?
Nothing like
That's good. So, well, that's why I like the One Ring because talking about the D&D style versus other ones,
Now,
I like.
there is a module for One Ring. Yeah,
It's out.
it's out, yeah.
Was it just this year? Or when did that come out?
Just, yeah, last few months.
Seriously?
And I have it, so.
Okay, now what is that covering?
Feeling well enough.
Now that, of course, the One Ring deals with the 50-year period between The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and so that's kind of the time period.
Specific modules have come out that I think will address your needs.
Okay,
So
So.
might be worth looking into it.
After the meeting,
Yeah,
I can loan you.
I won't be able to today, but I should get in touch with you.
All right.
So the Lonely Mountain, in my mind, sticks out of the plain, out of the earth, and there's really no way to describe what's around it because there isn't.
Well, Tolkien spent some time here and there. A little, you have to look through, but you will find snippets of description in his books.
Like
You have to
it's
read through. This is what I do when I prepare an area that hasn't been covered.
it
Is I start highlighting like crazy every reference in the index. I have full text.
yeah.
I have electronic versions, and I can do full text keyword searches. That helps you find the right book, and then I can find the hard copy. I have all the hard copies, and then I can highlight all this, and I can amalgamate all that together.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of like you come out of the woods east of Clay Elum and into the plains, and there's just nothing but the mountain.
Desolation.
Yeah,
And I'm pretty sure he described it as desolation.
the desolation of smoke.
I bet John D. Ratliff books have a lot of detail.
This is Richard. Do you want to hold it up to the screen, maybe? Yeah, picture around there.
Which he was our guest speaker for WordCon 4.
Just that's about when I hung out. Why am I holding
That's
this
something
up?
everybody's asking. Are we going to do a Tolkien move this summer?
The last I heard is that it was kind of looking doubtful.
Unless people can step up and help me, especially with my health and other
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah,
I can do one, but I need people to step up.
yeah.
We can still do it at my house.
But
Save money.
there need to be a lot of
I need other
volunteers.
people to take the initiative. I'm happy to have my house.
Right,
I can hold about 30 people.
but he can't run the whole thing. Mm-hmm.
But I can't do it all.
Absolutely. Yeah, that wouldn't be good. So yeah,
So, if
it's
you want Tolkien Move to happen, contact me, and you are welcome to run it at my house. I have the broadcasting resources.
and I mean, as far as the role playing, that's mostly on site, but there are interviews and other things that are done where we do broadcast, don't we? I mean, although do we broadcast the actual playing?
Yeah, we one table. I usually pick one table.
Yeah, yeah. So you can watch that. We have a streaming broadcast.
So, Tolkien Move 10, contact me how you're willing to help, and you're most welcome. And if you're a remote resource and you just plug in online, that's great too. I'm happy to do that. But I need people to help me this time. I can't. My health is just such I can no longer do all the work myself. I don't know if anybody can hear me.
Can everybody hear Hawk?
I don't think so.
Okay. For the secretary's sake, could we just kind of review where we've been in the last hour here? I forgot to take notes. So before our illustrious friend Chris came, will do, yeah. So Hawk just said that he is not sure whether he can pull off Tolkien Moot, which used to be called MERPCon, and he has hosted it before at his house, but he really needs more help, to kind of run that, and people who are willing to volunteer the setup and everything. So he needs just lots of different people help. Yeah, there's technology. Sorry.
They couldn't hear me. He needs assistance with token moot because of health issues, so he's looking for people who can take over parts of it. And he was saying that if you can do that remotely, it'd be fairly easy for him to figure out how to plug you in so that you could help, even if you're not on site.
So if you're interested in that, contact Hawk. His email is on the tolkienscholars.org website, or you can just comment on one of our different ways that people are watching us right now. And of course, we'll let you know and update you on whether or not there will be a Tolkien Moot this summer. Usually it's in August. Okay, so far, just to recap where we've been here in our June meeting, we read our notes from May, and then we kind of we dove into talking about Beowulf and the new book out and Tolkien's translation, and really feel that next month we just need to spend some more time preparing for that, to discuss it more fully. There's a lot of material out there right now on it, and I haven't looked at the interviews. There's some great articles out there. So anyway, but we'll kind of table that till next month, and we'd love to hear more. Maybe if you want to prepare some comments, or if you haven't had a chance to read it, maybe you'll have a chance between now and next month or your next meeting to look that up. That's right, just 3 weeks old. I forgot to mention that Richard read the Tengwar word for this month, which was hen, and hen means eyes.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out what the references were for
Right.
places that had
Other place names that besides Amanhen, the hill seeing. Yeah.
Do you see what Jeremiah is reading excerpts of?
Okay, so he says, okay. He says, the land about them grew bleak and barren, though once, as Thorin told them, it had been green and fair. There was little grass, and before long there was neither bush nor tree, and only broken, blackened stumps to speak of, once long vanished. Beautiful book. He says, hen.
Very much like on I-90 coming out of Clay Ellum.
Yes.
You come out of the forest into nothing.
Wide open. Thank you, Jeremiah, for that reference. Yeah, and I knew that was in there. I hadn't read it recently. So really, it'd be astonishingly bare, because mountains usually aren't bare like that. I mean, usually they have at least some, growth on them up until maybe the tree line.
I figured it was moving into like a steppe environment because, because you get that kind of environment as a function of rainfall because the trees don't have enough water to thrive, so you get plains of grass instead of trees or forest.
Good point. So we've covered Beowulf a little bit, taster for next month. We read a Leaf by Niggle excerpt, and now we're talking about Lonely Mountain and the really kind of the flora and the fauna, the foliage. Really, I suppose it's pretty simple because at the time of the end of The Hobbit, there really wasn't anything because the dragon had only recently died, and at the time when the Oh, that's a good point. But still, I mean, if Thorin and company come up and seen, it give way to nothing, not even really grass, must have not been able to grow back.
In the confrontation, all he had time to do was basically burn Lake Town.
Didn't it say that he kind of burned the mountain as he flew around?
Right, but that doesn't do the greater environment. It's not widespread. Yeah, it's like a local forest fire.
But he must have, woken up from time to time and gone looking for sheep or cows or something. Uh, how many years? Many. With a capital M. Even asleep. How do you survive? I mean, the dragon's metabolism must have slowed quite a bit when he was asleep. Yeah, I've got my treasure, don't want to be disturbed. Little, which again goes back to this whole lizard kind of thing. Yeah. Or snake. Reptile. Yeah. So anyway, thank you for that assistance. It's good to know that there's some resources that I can pull from, and I mean, I'm yeah. Well, and this December, I think, is when the next movie is due out. Um, More comments from online. Richard, do you want to read that off?
Yeah, Jeremiah is pointing out that at the point in the book, it's like fall heading into winter, I guess is what he's saying. It's the time of year when we expect to see natural decay. So, on top of the desolation.
Yeah, very true. We don't really get to see the Lonely Mountain in the spring or summertime, so it's obviously going to be a dormant time of the year anyway. There might have been, I would suspect that you're talking about, if you're talking about the sub-world that Tolkien was creating, trying to mirror our world to some extent, if an area had been blackened, the first thing to grow back would maybe be just a little bit of grass. The climate there did get some rain, so I'm assuming that there might not have been any trees, but...
Did you ever see Mount St. Helens?
Talk about that. Talk about volcanoes. Well, but hang on before you go there. Keep in mind something Tolkien did is the spirit of something affected health as well. Yeah. So barrow mounds and such of kings would grow certain things, and evil things would lead to blight. And with Slog being in the mountain, even though it may have been decades since he last ravaged the land, his lingering aura of spite may have led to a blight in the area continuing after the wreckage.
So where did Tolkien get that idea? What more?
Oh, certainly fairy lore and stuff like that too. I mean, it goes back. You hear a lot of different references where Beowulf might even have some references to that. I'm not sure.
I think he's onto something.
So I wouldn't. You can't get too science involved. Tolkien was not, studying all of the geography and geology and climatology and all of this.
No.
It was story
ability. There's a difference between readability and trying to make it somehow a tourist guide.
Right. So Mount St. Helens initially was blasted, but then all of that soil being brought up then turns into a flourishing, lava later.
Right, so that's the thing.
But that's also a volcano, not a dragon that went around and burned things down.
Which brings up an interesting point, which is that dragons, you were mentioning the spirit. They did have a spiritual impact on where they were. Not only in the direct and Malagon, in their connection with people and their abilities and how they dominated, but also on lands.
Right.
Which would have the question:
There's Sauron.
well, were the dragons not or were they just evil beasts that were subdued to them?
I thought they were Ainur. The lesser spirits, I thought, like Balrogs and such. Not dragons and Balrogs and all of this. I thought they were Ainur.
No, but
Lesser spirits.
no, Ainur is one of the broader category, isn't it?
Well, yeah, the Valar. You had the Valar, and then you had the Maiar, and then you had the Ainur, didn't you?
Okay, but the Istari
Or
were
I don't know. I should just be quiet today. I can't think. Ainur is all encompassing. Okay, it's all the spiritual types. Okay. Thank you. I stand corrected. I'm too out of it.
One thing I guess clarification
Johan's correcting. He's spelling it out. Or not Johan. Jeremiah. Sorry. I should just sit here silently.
Well, obviously all of us have read these things at time, but it's like you.
I'm just, my head's spinning too much.
Even
I
when you're
can't
familiar with something, it's easy to kind of lose track of all the facts. So thanks very much for that.
Well, there is some speculation that smog was more of a device than a creature. I can't remember the guy who brought that up.
They want us to get you a drink. Gonna go get you something.
I just had some tea. It's bronchitis.
All right.
I feel like crap. Sorry.
I told you needed to not say, nobody can see you without exhaustion. So.
I've got the microphone, or the camera
Well,
off.
text it. Parentheses.
Yeah,
I'm going to have to leave a little early for today's meeting. That's nothing to do with the fact that England's playing Italy at 3 o'clock. The World Cup. Oh no. Jeremiah, are you going to be seeing this? Just curious side effect. I know that Tolkien had nothing to do with soccer, but I'm just curious whether our European friends who are in on this are watching the World Cup or not.
I couldn't care less about the Super Bowl, and I couldn't care even less about
to golf. I'm thinking.
And bowling, the Giants.
Exactly. Bowling Giants, and he mentioned the golf game being created when was it? It was a two. Wasn't it? What was the big hobbit? It's Bull Roarer.
Oh, Bull Roarer, right.
He knocked the head of a goblin off and it rolled into a rabbit hole. That's how golf was invented, yeah. So I'm thinking it's not a real stretch to say that, especially considering the lopping off of heads in the Lord of the Rings, etc. You have, somebody. I mean, wait, I've got the reference. Sure, it's in the Two Towers. You know what I'm thinking about. It's when Legolas and Gimli and Aragorn arrive to find that Rohirrim have already killed all the orcs and they're in a big mound. And Aragorn kicks one of the orc helmets, and he's all frustrated because he thinks that Merry could have been killed as well. And actually, at that point, the actor who plays Aragorn, I can't remember his name, broke his toe. So when you hear them yell at that point when he kicked him, he yells because he broke his toe.
Really?
Jackson did that because it sounds
It's the emotion. That's funny.
I guess we're breaking up.
That was a while ago. Poor Vigo. Yeah, he nearly gets killed, drowned in a river scene they never used. Yeah, which never happened in the book. They floated him down the river.
Right.
He got pinned underwater and they had to rescue him and they had to be resuscitated and everything.
You're joking.
No, he nearly died and then they never used the scene. They'd show him falling, then they show him out of the river and they never used in the water.
That's what makes it happy. Putting the scene is
Nearly kills the actor.
Yeah, way to go.
Poor Vigo indeed.
So, anything else that you want to tackle? Like I said, I think the next letter is quite lengthy. Might need to be moved next time, and then we can also do our Beowulf kind of specialization. Fox kind of barely making over here, and so let's see if there's anything for discussion that people want to bring up. No, we can carry on.
Keep calm and carry on.
Okay, so keep calm and carry on. Tolkien style, right? Keep calm and carry the ring. Yes. Now I'm not seeing this Michael Martinez book.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to.
It's a good summary. It's a good intro for early learning of Tolkien scholarship. He has a gazillion essays, most of which are on Merck.com as well as Michael Martinez. You need to repeat that because people can't
Michael
hear me.
Martinez, I was trying to think of it.
He's been a guest speaker several times
Yeah, Michael
too.
Martinez lives in Washington State.
Now he moved to Georgia.
Oh, he's in Georgia.
He's been all over. He was Texas before.
Okay, so he's written many essays which are available on
Merck.com,
merck.com,
and michael-martinez.org.
michael-martinez.org. That's where his blog is, right?
Yeah, and he's got all sorts of different sci-fi and other things in SEO.
Absolutely, yeah.
He was
He has hundreds of essays.
he was speculating that smog was more of a device than a creature.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that goes back to the whole using dragons and mechanical things at Gondolin.
Read what Jeremiah just said about Silmarillion Read.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I had started a script for that, for a CGI animated film of all of the Silmarillion.
So Jeremiah says, we're Silmarillion slow-mo read through on Google Plus for anyone interested in doing a chapter-ish. Why do you take pages and very little pressure? What day did you do that, Jeremiah?
Where?
Oh, no set date. Okay, so you just...
Where can we get updates?
Yeah.
Tell them to update Tolkien Scholars. We'll spread the word.
Yeah, send us an update on Tolkien Scholars, and that will help us to spread the word. Okay, search on communities for... Wait for it. Tolkien.
Yeah, but if they would let us know when they have a date,
Yeah.
we'll gladly spread the word.
Yeah, we'll spread the word if you let us know when you're...
And, by the way, TolkienScholars.org, anybody can join and post news on if they want to post Tolkien events on there.
On the website or from the Google
On the website.
On the website.
If you want to get away with all the spam of Facebook and Google. I mean, we're on Google Plus and Facebook and all of that. But yeah, if you register an account on TolkienScholars.org, which is free,
I thought
anybody can post a news
it
item.
doesn't go to you first.
Well, I'll get a little review prompt before it's live, but they can submit for publication, and then I just look at it and say yes.
Yeah.
So, and that way there's no spam or anything.
Right. So
It's old school, but
Bob just mentioned, but please feel free to go to TolkienScholars.org. We would love to have incorporate whatever you guys are doing as well. I'll give it a shout out for you, and you can go on there and join, and just submit news item, and then after you do that, then it'll go to Hawk, and so just check it and post it.
And then I spread the word over all the social networks. Like Facebook, we have 1,100 people, and I mean we've got thousands of followers between the social networks, so there's some traction there. It's not huge, but it's something.
Can I make a little plug here for asking if any of you out there are writing any of your own stories that are fantasy related and
Adventure modules.
Absolutely, yeah. You can just talking about writing. We're not talking about anything else. Richard, you want to just speak to that?
I can only speak for myself. I'm trying to write a fantasy novel that's heavily inspired by Tolkien's work and some of the ideas he had. And I'm adding in some of my own ideas and trying to avoid the D&D tropes.
Would you mind talking about how you're doing the elves? I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, in my novel, my idea is that the high elves are distortions of humanity. So they become immortal, and it's driven them insane. So they've got issues, I guess. And then their children are the wood elves, and they have issues with their father's issues, basically.
Okay, we're starting to wander far here.
Yep.
We don't have other content to cover. It's too long.
Not unless we read through.
We should have focused on one of them from the beginning, though.
Well, we could. You can carry on that one. But like I said, I'm not going to be able to stay till 3 o'clock.
Yeah, let's go ahead and get one of the letters done.
Okay. He's got it.
Great.
Short one? Probably.
Sure. Use that, discuss, and then we can wrap up.
Letter number 90 to Christopher Tolkien, 24 November 1944, Thanksgiving, I suppose, FS 64, 20 Northmore Road, Oxford. My dearest, there has been a splendid scarlet letter from you. We were most amused by your account of the wedding ceremony. I wonder how the native band being whizzed through the air. I also wondered how you came to have seen and to have remembered the quotation from the Exeter book Nomex. which, though I had not thought of it before, does uh, certainly provide a most admirable plea in defense of singing in one's bath. It cheered me a lot to see a bit of Anglo-Saxon, and I hope indeed that you'll be able to return and perfect your study of that noble idiom. As the father and said to his son, is nu okay, we can do this one.
Isn't that a folka that Firen Gelu Heldan, Willa Akim Higa Rosna?
Which might be a comment on the crowding of universities and decline of wit. That's happening today.
Yeah, this is a good one for Father's Day coming up.
There is now a crowd of folks that want to get a hold of old documents, but their wits are decaying. I have to teach or talk about Old English to such a lot of young persons who simply are not equipped by talent or character to grasp it or profit by it. Yesterday, 2 lectures, pre-drafting findings of committee of emergency exams, and then a great event, an evening eclipse. Yay! I reached the mitre at 8. Yes, where it was joined by CW and Red Admiral, resolved to take fuel on board before joining the Well diners in Moslin, CSL, and Owen Barfield. CSL was highly flown, but we were also in good pedal. While OB is the only man who can tackle CSL, making him define everything and interrupting his most dogmatic pronouncements with subtle distinguos. Um, the result, using an highly contentious evening on which, had an outsider eavesdropped, he would have thought of it meeting a meeting of enemies hurling deadly before trying their guns. Warney was in excellent majoral form. On one occasion, when the audience had flatly refused to hear Jack discourse on and define chance, Jack said, "Very well, some other time. But if you die tonight, you'll be cut off from knowing a great deal less about chance than you might have." Warney, that only illustrates what I've already said, always said. Every cloud has a silver lining. But there was some quite interesting stuff. A short play of Jason and Medea by Barfield. Excellent sonnets sent by a young poet to CSL, and some illuminating discussion of ghosts and special nature of hymns. CSL had been on a committee revising ancient monuments. I did not leave till 12:30 and had reached my bed about 1 a.m. this morning, their own father. That sounds about right. For
And-
a claims meeting.
And Hawk made a comment a minute ago, which is a good point, which is that Father's Day is tomorrow, and really most of these letters are correspondence between a father and his son.
Yeah, and some of them really, like last month's, very in-depth, very personal. So a good one to kind of wrap up just before Father's Day.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Although he's being curmudgeonly.
yes. My father was nothing like Tolkien, but I would like to give credit to my stepdad for the way in which he,
really helped inspire me with an interest in nature, and I think that's something that Tolkien also had. Um, you know, so that was good. And my birth father is he's written before for Spokesman Review, and so some of my writing skills might come from that. I don't know. Any other comments about your dad's different? Same.
I did not get my computer skills from my dad, for the record, or my mom. Uh, but my dad took a job where instead of working 60 to 80 hours a week, um, working in Washington, D.C. for the Fat Cats, he decided to come out to Bremerton to the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, take a massive cut in pay, and just be a standard civil engineer. But he was home every day at 4:35, and that speaks very highly of him. So it seems like they had to tank up before they got to the Inklings by tradition, it seems.
Yes.
Protestants and Catholics drinking together.
Yes.
Or shall I say, Anglicans and Catholics
Yes.
drinking together.
Well, certainly, food and drink do provide kind of a middle ground for people to meet together and enjoy each other's company, including coffee, including, even if they have differences. And I think these were really good friends, and it's great to see that even if their relationship was sometimes strained, they stuck it out and stayed friends. In reading the recent and very worthwhile reading, Alistair McGrath's new biography of C.S. Lewis, I realized that his kind of fame in becoming, as a writer and as a spokesman for mere Christianity in the West did not endear him to a lot of his colleagues at Oxford, who felt that if he was serious as a fellow, he should be like, researching and only writing about literature and things like that, and not being kind of a popular speaker. And so that's basically, it was politics that prevented him from becoming a senior fellow at Oxford, and that's why ultimately he ended up leaving and going to Cambridge in the last years of his life, which separated him and Tolkien for a couple of years, I believe.
Jeremiah has a final comment.
Oh, okay, I can read that. Okay, I'll jump in on this fatherly love. If it weren't for my dad, I might not enjoy Tolkien now. He showed me the Rankin Bass 1977 version of The Hobbit when I was about 5, and the rest is history. Thanks, Hop, for sending me one. Yes. Yeah, that's good. That was actually my first exposure to The Hobbit too. It's quite funny.
About maybe the age of 4 or 5, yes, and 6 and 7 for The Lord of the Rings.
I even know where I was. I was in Moscow, Idaho, and I was in Walden Books. It was probably about 1981, and I was in walking around, and I saw this little record, the book that went with the record, and that's where we got it. I wanted it really badly. I have no idea. I probably didn't understand anything about what the book was about, but it looked really cool. Just short guy with hairy feet. Hard to resist. So, yep, shout out to dads there. Any other last comments or questions or connections? Or
Can you put out another, again, reminder, if we want Tolkien Moot this summer, contact tolkienmoot@gmail.com. We need volunteers and such to make it happen.
And
People
is
want
that
to step up as speakers.
people that remote or
Yeah, they're welcome if they have something they want to do remotely that we can link in, that'd be great.
and the email
And they can't hear what I'm saying, so you gotta read it again. Tolkienmoot@gmail.com.
Okay. So
Or Tolkienmoot10.
a reminder that Hawk has been running for now about 10 years, I think. A gaming. Well, really, it's
literary. It's all things Tolkien, yeah.
It's all things Tolkien. It's called Tolkien Moot.
Tolkienmoot.org.
Tolkienmoot.org. Yeah. And so if you're interested in that or helping, you really can't do it again this summer unless he gets enough help, and that could include people who are not able to be there physically, but maybe
There might be something that you could do. Anyway, if you'd like to know more, email him at tolkienloop@gmail.com.
And you can check out all the previous
Yeah,
Tolkien
look
books
at
at
the
the
website. It's
website.
worth having a look. It's quite amazing here in Spokane. We've had something so, noteworthy. Although it does, I would say it leans heavily in favor of role playing. That's kind of one of the main.
But we have a whole
We have a
literary
lot more
section
than
of
that.
it.
Yeah,
We've had John D. Ratliff,
Yep.
Michael Martinez,
authors in the past.
published
Mhm.
Tolkien scholars.
Yeah.
So
So for sure.
and Elvis Singer.
Yes. There's just some good things that we've been able to do, but we're going to carry on. So again, if there's any interest in helping with that. Otherwise, we'll probably be on here in another month's time. I will actually be joining remotely. I'm going to be over in Wisconsin in a month's time, checking out the Midwest. Ooh, I wonder if I can get down to Chicago, to Wheaton.
C.S. Lewis.
Well, it's not just C.S. Lewis. The Wade Center has all first editions of Tolkien's, a lot of the works there on Tolkien, Elvis, and Inklings. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. So, it'd be awesome if I could get mine from the Wade Center.
You see Jeremiah's comics.
I can't see if you want to read
The
it.
cheese.
Well, before that, Rankin Bass, and then
I read that part. Yeah, a lot of people like played about Rankin Bass animated edition, but I'll always stand in its corner. Great adaptation. Yeah, I think you have to look at it and say, but it brought it to people, and especially brought our kids into it, which is what was intentionally,
I loved it as a kid.
Cheese sticks. Oh, sorry, I was thinking like state of mind. It is kind of a state of mind too. Thank you for the fact you're recognizing Wisconsin cheeses.
So let's go ahead and we'll wrap up early.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not feeling up to.
Yeah, actually, Jeremiah, cheese thing, I have to say, I've been in withdrawal for 7 years since I left the UK. Occasionally, I can get some good red Leicester here, and also, some decent actual cheddar from Somerset.
What? Blessed are the cheesemakers.
Anyway, but it's always very expensive here, and I really miss the British cheese. All right, it says, I know. I also agree with you. I've got a great cheese book. What? That's cool. I know how sad. See, Tolkien liked cheese. I'm absolutely positive of this. We haven't run into any comments in his letters, but I'm sure that it's in there. Do a text search on that one. But it actually has a great section of USA artisan cheeses. Okay, we're obviously getting a little off topic. So, we're going to wind this up and ask that you continue to connect into our website if you get a chance to, TolkienScholars.org. Have a look at that.
We're on Google Plus.
Yep, we're on Google Plus.
Tolkien Scholars. We're on Facebook, Twitter.
Google Plus, Twitter.
Pinterest, Reddit.
We have a Pinterest website.
I think so. It's not real active yet.
Yeah, and send us links to what you're all doing. I know there's some great things out there that everybody's involved in. We should be in the UK. We are part of the Tolkien Society.
Official members, SMEAL.
Yep, we are SMEAL.
Paying members.
Their newsletters a month after they come out. So, anyway.
Takes a long time to cross the pond.
Yeah, Jeremiah, are you a member of this esteemed organization or not? Just curious. Because it'd be great if we could have one of our members. If you joined in, then you could actually crash one of their parties and report back for us. Tell us all about it. All right. So, time being, if there's no other comments.
Many thanks to everyone.
Many thanks to everyone. We wish you well.
Namaste. You know how to stop broadcasting?
Yeah,